Welcome to another episode of Vulgarian Recommends. In this episode, we are going to talk about HANA-BI from the great Takeshi Kitano, sometimes referred to as Beat Takeshi. That's his kind of actor name, but Takeshi Kitano is his director name. Altes has that Blu-ray, and I have this third window Blu-ray, which is, I think, out of print now. But yeah, really nice Blu-ray, although obviously these third window releases are often quite bare bones with the special features, but I think it's always most important to have the film. But I think this is probably Kitano's best film, and it's often considered to be his best film, and it shows him as the author, as he was the director, the writer, the editor, the main actor, and he also painted the paintings that we see in this film, because he had like a motorcycle accident like a few years before this film, and he like half of his face was kind of, oh god, what's the word, paralyzed, and then he painted these paintings, and some of them are actually pretty nice paintings as well. And yeah, this was one of the films that really made me a Kitano fan quite a few years ago. I had started with Sonatine, and I actually didn't like that film that much for some reason. It was probably because I hadn't gotten used to his style, so now I need to rewatch that film and probably like it a lot more. But I have seen all of his films except the new one that's called Kubi, I think. So I'm looking forward to that film a lot. It sounds interesting. And of course, he's at that age that he's probably gonna retire soon. And I think he maybe even said that this is his final film, but I'm not quite sure. But he's a very interesting director who started in the 80s. He has made so many different types of films, from comedies to dramas to Yakuza films, again, action thrillers. But he's known for his kind of a painterly style, which is one of the reasons I really love his stuff, because he has that painterly, very hypnotic style that pulls you in. And this film has a Joe Hisaishi score. Obviously, many of his films have Joe Hisaishi scores, and Joe Hisaishi is my favorite film composer, and this is one of my favorite scores of all time. It's absolutely beautiful. And Joe Hisaishi is, of course, most known for the Studio Ghibli films like Spirited Away, but I love him a lot for his Kitano work, and he worked with Obayashi and many great Japanese filmmakers. And of course, HANA-BI has become a huge classic of 90s Japanese cinema. I think it even won some award back when it came out, and yeah, it just has become a huge classic for every Japanese film fan, basically. And this was my third time watching it, and yeah, I've loved it on all of my 3 viewings. It's just a perfect example of his beautiful style, and this kind of mixes many different elements that he does well. Okay, the drama, the bursts of violence that he's known for, and kind of a, you could say, slightly sentimental and melancholic vibe. He does that really well, and I really love this film, and I can't wait to talk about it now. So yeah.
This is before this, the only movie I've seen directed by him is Violent Cop, and like you said, I think I enjoyed Violent Cop, but you don't know what the world and what he's about and what he's doing, and then you kind of watch this film, which is just absolutely wonderful, like incredible film, and in a way he's undoing what he was previously doing in many interesting ways as well. Of course, I'm not in depth, so I haven't seen Boiling Point and Sonatine, even though I have that in the BFI set. I haven't watched those yet. So, but I could already see from Violent Cop to this whole journey and transition, and really interesting things happening from just comparing those 2 films. So I'm very happy you recommended this film. And then basically that encouraged me to go get. We were talking about doing this film even last year, I think, and that's what got me to pick up the Blu-ray. And I really enjoyed this film, and I just loved this film, and I'm really interested to talk about this film with you.
So again, before we get into spoilers, we can of course talk about like who would we recommend this film to, as we always do. So I think if you like Japanese films, if you like thrillers, if you like slice of life, if you like just films that have a bit of like kind of a whimsical, beautiful, melancholic atmosphere, I think I would like this. And if you are familiar with any of Kitano's work, either as an actor or director, yeah, this is a must watch. And yeah, it's just one of the best Japanese film of the 90s, which means that it's one of the best films of the 90s in general, of course. And yeah, I think this is a fairly accessible art house film. I wouldn't like really call out any type of people that wouldn't like this. I think it's very accessible and something that most people would like if you are into art house at all. So,
Yeah, and if you're curious to see how you can mix slow cinema with action, I mean, this is the film. I don't think anyone's done that or that I've seen. So that mixture, and it's got all elements, like you said. It's like it's got the slice of life, like really touching aspect. It's kind of got the drama, like introspective side, but it's got lots of style and flair, like like a Tokyo Drifter or something like that, like like predecessors of his, like Seijun Suzuki and all that. So it's like it's just a very cool film, but then it's a very it's cool and cool films can turn out be cold as well. But this has a lot of feeling, and it's cool, and it's interesting, and it's tragic, and it's complex. It kind of does it all, and it's very accessible, like you said. I think it's not something anyone wouldn't find difficult. I don't think it's difficult to watch it anyway.
and I guess I forgot to do the plot synopsis, but I'll do a quick one now. So it's about a ex-police detective whose wife is terminally ill with leukemia, and he's kind of again borrowing money from the yakuza to again help his wife to get the treatment and stuff. And then we see all other police officers. One of them gets into a wheelchair and he has to be taken care of, and he tries to commit suicide, but it doesn't work out. And then he becomes a painter, and we see these kind of paintings again all over the movie. And again, the paintings were painted by Kitano, like I said in the beginning. But then again, the Kitano character robs a bank, and it's probably the most kind of low-key bank robbing scene I've ever seen. It's almost like a press-on made like a bank robbing scene. So there's no like glorification or anything. It's just he just goes to a bank and gets the money. But then a lot of the movie is that after that bank heist, he again takes his wife to a trip. And that's actually my favorite thing in the whole movie, not the violence and not that, but just when he's with his wife, because those are such beautiful scenes that are just filled with love and humanity and empathy. I just love those scenes so much. And again, this film is quite violent. We see this one kind of flashback into a kind of traumatic thing in like the Kitano character's past, where again 2 police were kind of shot. And he kind of thinks about that in his mind again and again. And then he again kills and beats up lots of yakuza in this film, and it's done in a very brutal way. Yeah.
Yeah, and in a way, it's good you kind of gave a synopsis in a sense, because well, I think one of the fun parts or interesting parts of the filmmaking is how Kitano designs the plot points and the story, because again we're going from away from a linear to we're piecing it together, and I kind of like that. At first you're kind of a little bit going between the different things. You're trying to get oriented in terms of who's who and how does it fit together. because um, and because you're getting the information not necessarily linearly, but it's kind of things are happening, and there's a kind of almost like a flashback point, or going into your thoughts aspect of it, and it's a mixture of what really happened plus his own feelings and challenges and questions. Uh, and so I think that's really cool how it's done. And then when it kind of starts coming together, you're like, aha, okay, this is what's going on. Um, so it's kind of a confusing world in the beginning. So you kind of giving the plot will allow people to kind of just get into the movie versus trying to figure out exactly what's going on. But I think that's one of the really cool things about the film. The editing, the storytelling, the plot points, and the unique way it does it tells you enough, tells you a little less than you need to know, because it's almost like allowing the audience engagement and participation, which I think is actually really good. It's not one of those I'm going to spoon feed it to you. So to make a genre like that interesting in that way is, I think, quite cool and innovative.
Yeah, you could see like an American director doing a similar plot, but it would again spoon feed it all to you and explain it all and be in your face all the time without all this subtlety and beauty that this film has. And just like the film we just talked about, Charisma, this is again kind of like a film where you have lots of different individual pieces put together, but it still like works well as a whole, even though this has comedy and drama and thriller and action side to it. Moments of happiness, moments of dread and terror, and again the violence and melancholy and sadness and sentimentality. Again, so many different things at once, but it still works really well. And one of the trademarks that we have here is again kind of how Kitano shoots the ocean and water. He does that obviously in a scene at the sea and even in Kikuchiro a little bit. And yeah, he gets those absolutely beautiful shots that you could look at for hours. Yeah, they're absolutely stunning, and everything is stunning. Not just that, but even like the action, the violent scenes are shot really well, and again the beautiful moments with him and his wife are shot really well. And again with his wife, they do very small things like again fireworks, and that doesn't even work out, and that's a comedic moment when the fireworks kind of explodes in kind of when Kitano is going to look at it, that why didn't this blow up and stuff, and then they are doing the karting and everything. There are those kind of small moments of beautiful humanity, and in the end I think it's a very humanist film, even though it's also very violent and bloody at the same time.
Yes, it's very beautiful in its picturization, but stylistic choices. I mean, like you said, even the painting and how that figures in art on film. This is, I was thinking, okay, other than documentary, have I seen art on film used in this way as part of the narrative, but very much connected with the themes? Uh, so all that blew me away. I was like, the vibrancy, the colors, and just the artwork, and then showing even the process of creating the artwork. It is just so beautiful, this film. And I think one thing, and I'm going to bring up a bit of my personal experiences in life with this, is it was when I was watching this film, and he's known for his style where it's bursts of violence, and I was like, he gets violence because I used to work in Afghanistan, in Kabul, uh, and you would be with your colleagues, you'd be talking, you'd be having fun. Everything would be somewhat normal, okay, other than you're in a compound, you have security and all that. But all of a sudden one day there would be an explosion. And it's that burst. It's not that violence is this ongoing, always running under the surface things. It comes in bursts and it comes in surprises. And I think obviously fireworks, I don't know if it's the actual what is meant to be in Japanese, what the characters mean, because I think it's something like flowers and lights, or at least this one essay says so. But the bursts aspect, you can see that it's like bursts of color, bursts of inspiration, bursts of meaning, uh, bursts of tragedy, bursts of violence, and life is kind of like that, right? It's like, as you always say, well, life, we're planning this podcast, but life happens, and it's true. There's just these bursts of things that happen all at once, and it's never in your control. It just explodes, and then there it is, and you got to deal with it. And some of it is beautiful and colorful, and some of it is tragic and troubling, and something is confusing. So like you said, when you bring the biography aspect of him and saying, yes, he was in this accident, he went through this troubling thing, his face was paralyzed and all that, you can see a kind of depth and maturity that's brought in that tragedy, and he's woven all that in, and that just takes this thing to a whole new level that I could never expect you could see in a cop drama.
Yeah, I think we are at the spoiler territory now already, so I'll just give the spoiler warning now and then respond to what you say. That actually what you were talking about, the different bursts in life, it made me think about Forrest Gump. Like, life is like a box of chocolates. Like, yeah, that you never know what you're gonna get. So because yeah, that's obviously how life is. Like, yeah, this month you have a burst of happiness, and the next one a burst of yeah, tragedy or whatever. So yeah, it's life is constantly fluctuating to different directions. And although the guy who is the painter here in the wheelchair, it seems like he, no, well, obviously maybe in the beginning before he's in the wheelchair, he's fairly happy, but then when he is in the wheelchair, it seems like he's constantly sad, and the kind of bursts in his life have stopped in a way, because even maybe there's this idea that creativity and the art can be a healing process for a person, but then it doesn't seem to necessarily work for him. Yeah, maybe he doesn't try to kill himself again, but he still just seems so sad and alienated, even though he has that creative interest in him. So that there are those levels of sadness that you just cannot escape no matter what.
Yeah, really. And as you said, it's like this almost not simplistic, like almost like minimalist aesthetic, but what's happening is very deep and complex, and it's the power of silence, because obviously Kitano is this, well, the character he creates in these kinds of things are like these stoic figures, but it's actually like he's speaking volumes through the silence, because you don't really need him to say much, or any of the characters to say much, and they don't really. I think some of the side characters say more than the kind of main focal points. The people who are experiencing different kinds of pain and loss actually aren't speaking that much. And it's the depth and profundity of the tragedy that life can have. Like, you can have health problems, you can have illness. So it's like, to me, as, yes, I'm a dilettante and novice. I'm not saying to claim any deep knowledge of Buddhism, but I do appreciate the philosophies in Buddhism a lot, and I think this film is very Buddhist in that way. It has that, dealing with your tragedy with some sort of dignity. I get it. He takes the law into his own hands and he does all these kinds of things. But there's some kind of dignity in what he's trying to do. because the world is so bloody corrupt, right? So there's still a dignity in that. And then there's this taking the, life as it is with silence. Like, there's things you can't do. I can't do anything about my wife getting sick. Old age, sickness, impermanence, death. These are the realities, the four noble truths in Buddhism. You see them all in this film. So, and then how you deal with tragedy, right? Where it's like, well, you never expected to lose your legs, right? Or you lose the function of your legs, but you did, and then you didn't expect that if that happened to you, that your wife and your daughter would leave you, right? But that just did, and either you kill yourself or you transcend it somehow, and we never see the guy in the wheelchair ever doing his art and then finding happiness. That's what I love about the film. It makes it so real. I'm like, he gets it. He's never happy at any point that, oh no, I paint and I'm fulfilled. As we kind of have this thing that's in our social media culture where people say, oh yeah, I had this tragedy, but I discovered this and now life is absolutely wonderful. Like, the guy's never anything but an amateur artist. It's great art, but I think he's recognized I'm nothing but an amateur artist, but it's giving me something to do and I get a lot of time to think. So you never thought that all that violence, all that activity, that was your job as a police officer, and now you have nothing to do and you just paint and you look at the ocean, uh, and it's not within your control. I think it's just very moving film, actually.
Yeah, and it really shows how hard it is to move on from guilt or tragedy or trauma, how it keeps on lingering on your head, even though you cannot do anything about it. We are trapped by these things and we cannot escape the maze. And that's just so true that you can again find good things in life and happy things, and you can try to rationalize these things and yeah, I need to just move on, but then you can never still move on. No matter what you do, they will always, those traumatic experiences will always be a part of you, and you can find those again bursts of happiness even when you have those awful experiences in the past, but it's not gonna stick around. So again, the best thing that we can often hope for is to, kind of like Tony Soprano said, that enjoy the little moments. Yeah, when you go eat like city or like go to RD's restaurant or something, yeah, you need to enjoy those moments. Or in this movie, when they enjoy playing with the cards, that yeah, what is this card and what is this
Yeah,
card?
it is
Yeah, it's crunchy
chocolate.
chocolate. Yeah, yeah,
Chocolate.
chocolato. Like they say that, like the TTO in the like in the Hamaguchi Criterion Closet video, fists in the pocket. Like I
Yeah.
love that how he says it. Yeah, and obviously
Yeah.
I've been again studying Japanese on my own for the past almost 3 months or 2.5 months or something. Yeah, kind of learning about all these kind of nuances. It's been fun. Yeah.
Okay, and you just hit on something, because first of all, you're absolutely right about the best part of the film is after the bank robbery, right? That's the part of the film, and I think that's where the spirituality and the philosophy is so intertwined with the film and its narrative, right? Because it takes a lot to get there, right? And then he has this moment with his wife that he could never imagine. If all that tragedy hadn't happened, and he wouldn't have had this moment. Yet this moment is temporal. It's not. It's temporary. It's not forever, and so it's this beauty. And if you don't live that beauty, and I think that's the whole thing, is that this film is testing you, right? Because now he found happiness for it with his wife and it's forever. And it's like, well, maybe that's just not how life happens. Maybe you just get it at that point. You should enjoy it, and that point is over. And we get that by what the ending is. But that is what is absolutely like so moving, and I don't mean to be hyperbolic, but this movie just really touched me, um, because even those moments where they're at the ocean and there's that girl playing with the kite, and then you forget, right, through all that journey, you forgot, oh, before all this even happened, they lost a daughter. We forgot about that tragedy that they already had. They had already lost a daughter, so now they get to share in that grief. That scene is this: we're enjoying the beauty, we're together, and we're finally communing with that grief. It's just so amazing, but so real because of the choices they make and how it even ends, to say, that's it, that's life. It's the burst, the theme and the narrative and the spirituality and everything is one. And that oneness is very, again, going back to that, has that Buddhist root. It's just the circle of life. It's the cycle of life.
Yeah, it's the Buddhist thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. That's beautiful.
But you mentioned earlier again how this film is kind of very real in the way that, creativity doesn't cure that trauma and things like that. But this film at the same time speaks to my idealistic romantic side.
Yeah.
When it shows the wife and Kitano and their beautiful moments together, I'm all about that type of stuff, and it kind of fits really well because I've recently been like binge watching like these rom-com animes that have like a cheesy view of romance, but I think this film like has that kind of more
Yeah,
true,
so
beautiful, real life kind of minimalist human connection love thing about it that I just love, and it kind of really reminds me of why the slice of life genre is my favorite genre. I just could watch them like being on the trip probably for like 20 hours straight. I really love it. I could have watched like a TV show where they just do small things together, and
yeah, me
I
too.
would enjoy all
Me
of
too.
it. Yeah.
Me too. And I think that's very much his point. That, like you said, and as you're discussing, I'm like, oh my god, it's like Tokyo Story. I didn't think about that. It's it's like if Kurosawa and Ozu were one person, because it's like these bursts of action and all these things of the honor code, and trying to get the guy who got your guy and all this stuff, that whole police masculine thing. And then that second half is all like Ozu, like they're just sitting at the ocean, and you see this really cute couple at the end, you know despite all this tragedy, just sitting there and just like absorbing it, and taking the difficulty in silence, and their love for each other. And it's true, like, I could have watched that forever. I wish that went longer. I was like, I just wanted to just keep going, and I just want to see them go to different places and do different things, and these little funny things happen. Just like the camera, I mean, just that scene is so amazing. Like, he sets up the camera and just standing, she puts the arm, and he doesn't want that. Okay, we'll just stand, like, by each other, and then the car comes through, and then there's just this, through an exchange and laughter. And my god, isn't that like so beautiful? Like, and in a way it's teaching you something about love, that this love does not have warmth, and love does not always have to do with all these things. It has a lot to do with what that person means to you, the struggles you share together, the struggles you weather together, the losses you deal with together. And to me, that's very much Ozu. Like, that's what Ozu shows, in so many, or in every film, in different ways. So I'm not surprised that both of us wish that part could go on forever, ever, and be like a TV show, because that's kind of like probably what we enjoy so much about Ozu films.
And Koreeda too.
Yeah, and Korean,
Yeah,
of course.
and many other Japanese filmmakers.
Yeah.
Kind of, and kind of, again, it has violence and drama. So again, I got this as an inheritance from my stepfather, who probably didn't even know what Buddhism was. So it
How
kind of
interesting.
shows that those interesting different things about life. That it's a Buddha, but I got it from a person who didn't even know what this
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, he probably just had it to hold some stuff, so because you need to have stuff to can all around you to feel safe. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think you're making a very interesting point. Yeah, like how gifts, just like in this film, how gifts come into your life. They may not be direct. We can have all kinds of problems in life, even growing up, even with our families and all that. But it's like today when I think about my movie uh, kind of hobby and all that, it all started. That was the one thing I did have in childhood. It wasn't these movies, but that created the road. So like you're saying with the Buddha statue and stuff, it's this path that gets just opens up in your life, but it doesn't open up in this Pollyannish way. It opens up through tragedy and loss and through even some of your desires and wants being frustrated. So I think having that all there in what is apparently a story about a cop and there's a bank robbery and there's all these kinds of yakuza in there is just how do you create a story like that? I mean, I'm still floored.
One more quick personal anecdote is that this one I got from my father, but it kind of fits with the Buddha because this is obviously from the
Oh
sea.
yeah.
Like, yeah, two things that relate to HANA-BI in a way. So
Oh wow, that's so cool.
yeah, you can even hear sounds when you put this on your ears.
Oh really?
Yeah. Well, then you anyway. Yeah, back to the film. So yeah, what should we say more about it? Like I like those personal things. Kind of, I lost my train of thought with them.
Well, yeah, I thought the artwork was so interesting too, since it matches with the what going on and almost like I guess the internal journeys of the different characters. So the artwork fits in, and I think it's very interesting artwork because obviously it's like shows a love for Van Gogh, but then the beast and the flower, like the beauty in us and the beast in us. I you know one of the things that really stood out, that combo, like I was like, I've never seen that where you put like flower heads on like animal bodies, but then I could think that symbolically there's that duality in this film too, the beast and then the beauty inside the beast, or the beast gets to experience beauty or is transformed by beauty. I really enjoyed all that. I really enjoyed the art. Like you said, I could have watched that forever, just seeing the art being made and then the different artworks being presented. I was like, this is just really cool. Like, this is just really great.
Yeah, one of my favorite paintings that we show is that there's like I think a woman's body like standing, and then her head is the flower. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that one was really beautiful, and I think it may be kind of fitting like the Kitano character's life here, like how maybe he sees his wife as the flower, as something good in his
Mm,
life, and while everything else is just bloody and violent and reminds him of all the guilt and trauma. Yeah,
no, this is a Valentine's movie.
yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
does
yeah, I
make you
could do a
feel.
double bill of this and blue velvet on
Yeah, yeah,
Valentine's.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That would be great. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be great. Yeah, and of course he's well known as a comedian and all that. But my understanding is, I don't know from firsthand, is that his style of comedy that was doing in television was a lot of talking, and obviously his films are the opposite of that because he's stoic and doesn't talk much. But I just really like the humor. I think he is a master of comedy as well because it is so funny, like the interactions and stuff, even in Violent Cop, because of the way he behaves. And I think once you even said he has such a unique way of walking and all that. So the personality within the persona within the film, and that being a signature and all that, very just very, very cool. Lots of coolness in that too.
Yeah, even some of the like really violent scenes are kind of funny. How the yakuza keep coming back and back, but they always get beat up and killed. Like Kitano doesn't care at all. He just puts them down, no matter how many of them there are. And then
I
if
think
you come back, I'll kill you. Yeah.
I think the most inappropriate violence was it's inappropriate. It's so hilarious, right? Where that dude is just at the and he's like, "Why are you putting water in the flowers are dead?" That's so funny. I mean, it's wrong to, to inflict that kind of violence on a bystander, but you're like, yeah, well, that guy deserved it, right? Because he didn't know what he was stepping into. But it's just so funny how the guy's just sitting there after, and it's like boxers. Yeah, there's lots of funny moments. Lots of funny moments.
Yeah, that's just before he beats up the yakuza as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, he has the same guy playing the psycho as he did in Violent Cop. Uh, yeah, so that guy's really good as the menacing like psychopath. Yeah, very good movie.
And then again, we have here Kikuchiro, and it's kind of like, well, it's kind of like his Koreda movie in a way. Like
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
Kitano and then a child, and they become friends and go into this journey, and it's lots of beauty and fun in it, and sadder moments. And it also has a Chohi Hashi score, which is probably my favorite one from him. So, yeah.
Yeah, the score is great that you mentioned it, and I would love to, yeah, watch. I have Kikujiro now, finally, so I'd love to watch that as well, and you talk about it. But um, like you said, the score, I really the score is great, but it's also what's great about this film is how the score is used, like in a way that's not constantly being used. So there's a lot of just natural sound most of the time, which actually almost has this calming quality, even though sometimes you have jarring violence and stuff. And then the music is used in this more conservative way when it's uh, when it feels like it has greater meaning when the music comes in. So it's the score is wonderful too, like you said, yeah. And how it's used is wonderful. Really great creative decisions.
Both the HANA-BI and Kikuchiro scores, I've also listened to them a lot on their own, and not just when I've watched the films, and they work really well on their own as well. Yeah, they have that nice kind of melancholy vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really colorful too. The film. I really like the colors are so vibrant. So from the beginning, we get introduced to the vibrant colors. It's so nice. Art
Yeah,
and violence.
and many different types of landscapes, the beach, then we have the snow stuff that looks kind of like the Hokkaido area a little bit. I don't know whether it's,
Yeah, yeah,
but they have like lots of those snowy places there, and it's really beautiful looking.
yeah. He really knows how to make the sea look meaningful. Like whether it's like in this movie or even Scene at Sea, and you're saying also Kikujiro and their other films where he does that, and it's like I appreciate that. I'm like he really makes it meaningful. Like I could watch him just do an extended scene of just the ocean and how I'm like I don't know how that feeling is brought out from just an ocean sequence, just shooting the ocean, but it's done and it's wonderful.
Yeah, and again, he kind of did pretty much everything himself in this movie. Again, the editing and everything, and the editing is also, it flows just so beautifully, and keeps that hypnotic vibe no matter what type of scene we have. And obviously Kitano is one of those actors that it's just fun to kind of watch his face and his
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
particular like facial expressions and stuff, like kind of the twitching of the eyes and things like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Kind of bit like, I don't know, Paulie from The Sopranos.
yeah, yeah. He's very, very, very unique. Yeah, very unique. Ugh, what else can you say? Great film.
Yeah, I'm sure we probably will return to Kitano on the podcast, whether it's Kikuchiro or something else. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great.
And maybe we'll also discuss something where he is the actor, but not the director. Like again, Oshima's Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. He's an actor there, with
Yeah.
David Bowie and others.
Yeah, the only one I've seen with him as an actor and not a director is the one, I forget the name, that you had recommended, and I watched it. Your picture on
Oh,
Letterboxd is from that
oh
movie.
yeah, Tabu or Kohatto from
Yeah,
Oshima.
yeah, the Taboo. That was a great movie. Another one of your fantastic recommendations. Great movie. So that was the first movie I ever saw him in. So
Yeah, that's a really good performance. He's like that samurai guy.
yeah,
And that came out like 2 years after this film, so around this time.
yeah, that was a great movie. That's a great movie too. Yeah.
And I think Akira Kurosawa also said that HANA-BI is one of his 100 favorite movies. So he was a big
Oh
fan.
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, he just had a chance to see this. I think he died in maybe 1999 or something like that.
Well, that's awesome. It's definitely a high favorite. I'd rank this very, very highly. I mean, it was just an incredible first watch, and one I want to return to as many times as I can because I just loved it.
Yeah, I thought that you would like this one a lot.
Crom hitting it out of the park, but it's Crom. What can you expect? Crom the Eternal.
Well, I had some misses, Kotoko and Seli and Chuliko both, and
No, but
Oasis. Although last time you said that you'd kind of be reconsidering Oasis.
no, don't. I mean, with that, yeah, I wouldn't think of it that way. I would say that those are ones that I still don't have orientation. I've been thinking about Kotoko a lot because I actually want to rewatch that one as well because I think it's like I said, it's like you're not always kind of organized in yourself to when a filmmaker is that challenging, like right, that where they're really transgressive, right? Because I mean I watched Tetsuo Iron Man. I thought that was fantastic. Like it was awesome. So that, and I think I saw that after Kotoko. So then that made me think, okay, I need to think about Kotoko because when people are transgressive, when they're trying to do something altogether different, and it doesn't fit within the universe you know so far, it can really push you, and I admire that. So I still am gonna journey with Rivet. I will, Tsukamoto for sure. Like these things. It's not done. That was just the first time, and Lee Chang Dong. So for sure, I want to see all the films I got of his and really start thinking about what he's trying to do because I've been thinking about that Oasis a lot actually in terms of yeah, because there was like something else I was watching, and then it's just the whole aspect of longing for a normalcy. It's this comment that even Tony made that made me think of new about some of the stuff, what we've been discussing with Borzagi and all. So it all comes together. So thank you for contributing to that growth in my uh, film knowledge and experience. So
Chrome tends to do that, so yeah. Chrome
yeah, it's
deserves
good
all
to
the
be
time.
challenged. It's good to be challenged, right? You don't want to just watch things. Oh, okay, I watch everything I like right away. There are things that are like, okay, I get it, but I don't quite get it, and I need to see what this is about.
Yeah, and that's of course the mindset of both of us that we like art to be challenging. We don't just want to be in our comfort zone because that's harmful to you. You need to challenge your preconceptions and biases and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when you challenge yourself, then you can evolve and find a better way or a better version of yourself.
Yeah, and you said it perfectly in your Lynch video. You said you appreciate when it's different and it's out there and it's something unlike because it makes you curious about what's behind that or what that expression is about, it's a part of something that maybe you have not explored yourself in that way in your own life, or in your own, journey with, literature or art or music or whatever. And I think that is so important, because that's the only way where you can start thinking of the world anew. um, and it can change your life, because it's like you're so used to, as we're talking in charisma, you're programmed, and this is what you know, and you exist in this time, and you think this is eternal, but it's not. You need to see it formulated in different ways for you to start thinking about what you're seeing, even in your own life and within your own self, anew and in different ways. So
Yeah, if you're constantly in a rut and just okay, watch the same stuff, that just you will never be able to do that proper self-reflection, and you will never be able to find the true power of art and how it can change your life and your perception and you as a person. So
yeah, like, and to bring it back to this film, it's like this, I mean, like, study of, like, men that we know to live a life of violence or around violence as police officers, and then we celebrate them in certain ways, right? And when you see all these action movies, like, okay, Dirty Harry and whatnot, and even in Japanese cinema itself, and then the consequence of that life of violence, uh, and then it shifts your perspective, and then it makes you think about the vulnerabilities of those police officers are new. And that wasn't also lost on me, that you basically picked two films about law enforcement in a way. Right? Both are stories about police officers going on these different journeys, when they've now met with some kind of tragedy or challenge in questions about their own, um, profession in a way. So I think these things, like you said, like, really help you rethink and just say, okay, let me just not love one aspect and one image of something, and let me see it in different ways, so I look at it in a multifaceted way.
yeah, but I'm glad that you again that both of these films seem to be like a good recommendations, and we got it. Both of the conversations were very interesting, and again, just with like Kurosawa, I think again we will return to Kitano and this period of Japanese cinema and talk about it more. Of course, Correa, we talked about him like 3 times already, so maybe we'll take a break from him. But some of these other directors of this period, we will probably keep discussing, and obviously Sion Sono and people like that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I think I might as well say the next two recommendations that we are going to talk about in February 9th here. Again, Altes already knows them, but the first one is Eternity and a Day from Theo Angelopoulos. Altes just got the Angelopoulos films on the out of print DVDs, so we probably talk about at least a few Angelopoulos films this year, and I thought that Eternity and a Day would be a good way to start. And then with that, we are going to talk about another really weird Japanese film that kind of continues our tradition of like heroic purgatory and charisma. So it's called Pastoral to Die in the Country by one of the Japanese new wave giants, Shuchi Terayama. And that's like full on just visual symbolism and doesn't have concrete plot or anything. So another very challenging film, but completely different style at the same time.
Looking forward to that. Yes, both of them.
And yeah, so look out for those episodes in February. If I can remember correctly, February 9th is the planned date for that. But again, like we always say, never know about life. Yeah, Yakuza could be on your door tomorrow. So, yeah.
Fireworks, bursts of podcasts.
Yeah. But yeah, that will be exciting when it probably happens. So yeah. Glad to get back to the swing of things. And I think even though we had a few month break, I think we are still as good as we were before the break. So it's good.
Yeah, it's really nice to be back. I mean, the break was good for introspection and all that kind of stuff, and dealing with everything that was going on. But it's really nice to be back, and just really had a good time today discussing both the films. So, and I'm very much looking forward to the next one already. So, I think that's nice too. I feel excited for the next one. It's fun.
Yeah, so now we'll wrap it up. Let us know what you think of HANA-BI, if you have seen it, or what you think of Kitano or Japanese cinema in general. Thanks for watching. Don't drink Coke at all. Sayonara and arigato gozaimashita.